Hackers and hackerettes, developers and developerettes. No headphone today, and we will be diving back into Batframe. So if you don't know what Batframe is, you're missing a lot of context. Please watch the entire playlist that I have on my channel, which essentially we are building a PHP microframework that is available as a composer package that you could pull right now. And from there, we are building it using only Claude. Okay, so we're just prompting, vibe coding, whatever you want to call it, our way into a PHP micro framework. And overall, it's been doing a fantastic job. So I did open all of these 3 folders that we've been working on into the same. I think I can move that to the center here. It's going to make it easier. My pretty face is in the way, so I guess I can move it around. Okay, so we do have all of our 3 folders that we're working here. Batframe, which is the source code for the framework itself. Skeleton, which is the starter project that you want to start a project from. And then Batframe Sandbox, which is a standalone project that we use to test functionality as if it was a Rail application. Okay, so we have all of them here in the same VS Code instance. That makes it easier to work with and navigate. Now, in today's video, the thing that we want to add is actually a CLI tool that's going to start with a Batframe skeleton. Because the CLI tool should exist in the Batframe skeleton, like in the skeleton application that you actually start Composer, start your project with. Because otherwise, you don't want it to be like in the main project here, because it's going to be like in the vendor, like in the Composer packages vendor folder, and you don't want that. This is similar to how Laravel has Artisan, and it lives like in the main folder of your application. So we're going to be using that and creating a new CLI tool. So in order to create a CLI tool, probably what we're going to need is get a new package, like a new dependency. We could probably use the same one that Laravel uses from Symfony. But I want because it is a micro framework, so I don't want to be depending on many things from like externally. We are already depending on engine or like Blade engine as a dependency for our package, but this is a necessary thing in my opinion, and I did that like knowing the I don't know what you would call it, like weighted the like bad sides of it or the negative sides of it. But I do want to have actually Blade in here, because Blade is like great, it's super powerful, and it's super easy to use. And we do need a templating engine for our micro framework. So you can like not only work on APIs, but you can also return views, which are like HTML files. Okay. So this is like the only thing that I would want to rely on. We also rely on, if we go to Batframe and then composer.json, we rely on php.env, which is also fine. Like we do need .env files anyway. Next, what we need is that, so we do have 3 things. PHP, obviously, we have Blade 1, which is Blade engine, and we have .env, and then we rely, but only for development, on PHP unit, which is great. So overall, I think I want to keep our dependency list as minimal as possible, and I believe we can create the CLI tool without relying on anything external. This is what we're going to prompt Claude to do anyway, okay? So the goal here is to have a tool that we can run, like PHP, and then I don't know what we're going to call the CLI tool. We call it like BatPC or Bat, I don't know, Bat CLI, Batbelt. Yeah, Batbelt maybe. So PHP, batbelt, and then we could do something like serve or server. Like I'm going to make it an alias for both. So yeah, I think overall, I think we are good to go, honestly. Like just using PHP, batbelt, and that's it. So let's start prompting away our CLI tool. We need to create a CLI tool for Batframe. Now, it doesn't make sense that it should exist in the main Batframe tool or Batframe source code. I believe it should exist in the skeleton, which is going to be like go backwards and then Batframe skeleton. So the @ symbol here defines that a specific directory or a specific file, depending on what you choose. So this gives like Claude more context in order like to read from this folder. So in the skeleton, which gets bootstrapped or which gets pulled down whenever a project is needed, or whenever a project is going to use Batframe. Okay. The CLI tool should not or must not include any external tools. It should be pure PHP. It should also be a single file. Okay. So it's going to be like a simple file that's going to accept parameters, and then it's going to execute simple functionality. The CLI tool should handle or should have a few. The CLI tool first should be called batbelt, and it should have simple functionalities like starting a web server, PHP tag S, and then localhost port, and then tag T public, and it should be invoked using PHP batbelt and then serve. Serve should also have an alias called server. So PHP batbelt server should also work the same way. The CLI tool should be easy to or should make it easy to include extra functionality that can be called. For example, it should have functions that correspond directly to the third parameter that is used to invoke the app. In our serve example, it should contain a function called serve, which essentially runs the shell command. So the overall architecture, how I imagine it, and I could be wrong, so let's just make sure that it's not set in stone, so feel free to correct me where necessary, is going to be a couple of helper functions in the same file, also like in the same file, where it reads input or like it reads parameters like server in our example, and then based on that parameter it's going to execute the correct function. Okay, you can also allow extra flags to be passed to a specific function by specifying inputs or like parameters in the function signature. So for example, function serve and then string port, and then by default the port is going to be 4001, Or actually, wait, let's make it something smart actually. So I'm gonna go, if you haven't watched this video, this was just released. I did a video going through Gandalf and solving that. So this is something interesting, but a side note. When was Batman first released? So 1939. So this is going to be our default port. Should have a an optional flag called port PHP batbelt serve port equals 4000. So like giving it an example, what it would be like to use the port with a default value of 1939, which is the year in which Batman was first released, I think, according to the Gemini thing. I think this is a really good prompt. So I'm actually going to let it go into plan mode because I want to see how it's going to imagine the architecture. And again, it's using a superpower called brainstorming. If you don't have that installed, you can do /plugins, plugin or plugins, and then you can use actually both are correct, so plugin or plugins, both are gonna work. And then you can look for the superpowers plugin, install that, do /reload plugins, and it's gonna install like a bunch of really cool plugins that you can use. Just be wary that some of the plugins, like for example the plan writer plugin or like superpower, is going to add markdown files if you don't specifically instruct it to not add files. So there are some caveats to using these things. Also, these superpowers are obviously going to do more stuff. That means using more tokens. So if you don't have like a generous plan of Claude, like be careful. Claude just works pretty well out of the box. So only reach out to these tools whenever you need them. I have the max plan, which is $100 a month. So this is why I'm fine using these superpowers, because I have a lot of capabilities and a lot of tokens in my plan, my Claude plan. So what it's doing right now is starting to explore the code in Batframe skeleton, and it used the superpower brainstorming. It did explore Batframe skeleton, and it looks like right now it's just understanding what this thing is and how it's going to add the CLI tool. So let's see what it does next. Meanwhile, I'm going to open a git bash and I'm going to point it at projects. I can't write. Wonderful. Okay, it looks like git bash just broke. All good. Open a new one. Work, cd projects, and we're not going to go into Batframe. We're actually going to leave it here because I'm going to delete the sandbox entirely. And then I'm going to bring Composer again. Or sorry, I'm going to use Composer to create a project from Batframe skeleton. So let's see here. Now, how should batbelt know a function is a command versus an internal helper? The runner itself needs helpers like arg parsing, help parsing, and so on. So name prefix, and then so bat underscore serve, namespace split. That's good. Namespace split is actually good. We could make the entire thing a class. Make the entire thing a class, and every public method on that class is going to be a command. Every private one is will be a helper function. Okay, so I think this makes it much easier, and this goes the like using the same idea that we were using with our routes. So our routes also worked the same way. Okay, so we're gonna do that. Then let's see. All of them look really good. So server only, I mean, it's not going to be server only. We can select a multiple here. All of them are great. So server, route stable, make route and make page. And then you do have the cache clear. Beautiful. All of them are beautiful. I'm going to get them all. So here, how should a required parameter no default be passed? Hypothetical make route needing a name, positional, of course. Yeah, so we're going to use a position. So here, name, in this example, name is going to be required, and then force is not going to be required. Okay, we're going to submit the answers, which is great. Composer has a serve script that batbelt would supersede. This is actually new to me. Does Composer have a serve? Well, not this one, but let's see Batframe skeleton. Maybe it does. Serve. It actually does do it. Yeah, it does. It does have a serve command. Okay. So we could just run composer serve instead of PHP tag s and all of that. So it says good public methods as commands is exactly Batframe's own rule. One wrinkle to resolve, and I need to read Batframe internals for the routes cache clear commands. So it's going to do that. It's running a sub agent that is running that. So you can click on the sub agent to see what it's doing, but we don't care. We just let it run. And then here, let's see. Every public method is a command has one snag. The dispatch engine itself needs a public entry point to be called from the bottom of the file, and it would get picked up as a command. How do you want the engine to separate from the command? So you can use base class or one class static entry point. Static, not a command. Or base class. Final class batbelt extends belt, which I believe belt is going to be I mean, this is good enough, honestly. I think this is good. Yeah, let's do that. So then we have camel case colon. So make route clear cache have colons, but a PHP method can't. How should the method name map to the command name? Okay, so camel case hyphen flat lowercase. So make route, make page. I guess instead of it being like okay, we're gonna change this. Actually, I want the name to match exactly the command that is required. So by default, so there should be no colons at all. If the user wants multiple names, they are free to use camel case or snake case. So make route should be called as PHP batbelt make route, and make route should be called as make route. No standards at all. Serve and service and server are aliases. Where should that live given commands are now methods? So just two methods. nowhere, the methods should just like the server method should just call the serve method, and that's it. Not really the concept of aliases, but rather they do the same functionality. Okay. Should batbelt's help text come from doc blocks? Reflection can read methods doc block. The first line becomes the command's description. Name plus signature only. I think doc blocks are gonna be cool. I agree. I think doc blocks are gonna be cool. And then we can, like, in the future, we could do a command that adds commands in the CLI tool itself, which is going to be cool. So I guess let's see if Claude is going to understand my notes, even though like I did a selection but then give a note that asks for something different. This is actually a test for me because I want to see how it's going to behave. Is it going to choose the, like, understand the choice and ignore the notes? Is it going to take the notes over the choice? Let's see. We're going to test this in the colons area, I guess. Actually, in all of them. All of them are, I believe, the same thing. So let's see what kind of data that we're going to get. So it's not going to write anything yet because, like, not going to write any code yet because it is in plan mode. So we're going to see the plan that it's going to come up with, and then we can just let it, like, approve the plan and let it write the code. And we're going to review the code ourselves. Explorer came back with a clean answer. Takes a class string and route exposes. Okay. So make route product writes source routes product routes. Should it also wire use product routes into source automatically? Try fallback to printing. Never touch app PHP. Always auto wire. Hard fail. No, I think we're gonna try and we can fall back. That's okay. Let's see what the question here is. The skeleton has no test suite at all. No required dev, no PHP unit, and every file in it gets copied into each new project by create project. How should around 300 lines of dispatch logic be verified? Manual verification, add PHP unit plus test to the skeleton, test it in Batframe repo instead. I'm going to do manual myself, and then I'm going to create a separate project. Or sorry, I'm going to do like separately. What was I gonna say? I was gonna like separately in a different like commit that we're gonna do today. Once we confirm this is working, we are going to make two things. First, I'm gonna add a claude.md file to Batframe skeleton. I'm gonna, because it already has, like, in this window, in this chat, it already has a lot of context about Batframe skeleton. So I'm gonna ask it to write a claude.md file to Batframe skeleton. And then I'm going to go into Batframe skeleton itself, and I'm going to ask it to add tests for the skeleton. Okay. So we're going to see the end results of the plan. I'm not going to read through the plan much, honestly. I'm just going to like skim over it, and then I'm going to accept it and let it start editing. And then I gave it hard instructions before. That it should not commit without my explicit approval. So we're gonna see like all the code that it edited ourselves. Okay. So let's just skim through it. Context, Batframe apps have no CLI. Today, the only way to run one is PHP public or the composer serve script. There's no way to see the route table and app results, scaffold, the tray. Okay, whatever. What is a command? Every public method on batbelt. Each verb prefixed public method on app. Command name. What is not? Anything private. Verbless methods. Optional parameters. That's cool. Types cast from declare type. Command names. Exact method names, no colon or hyphen transformation. Good. Auto lowercasing, serve, PHP, make route. No auto lowercasing. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. This is exactly what we need. There are no aliases as a concept. Server is a real public method whose body is returned as serve. Good, it understood that part as well. Skeleton root in this order. We don't care about this because we're gonna review the code ourselves. New, the entire tool. Repoint the serve script. Document batbelt plus how to add a command in the readme. That's great. That is great. Yes, and use auto mode. So I'm gonna change this to auto mode, and then I'm gonna just let it cook. So period standing preference. This is what I was telling you about. No redesign or no design doc is written to docs. The plan is the spec. The skeleton is a separate repo, its own remote, its own commit tag release is a separate decision for Batframes, and nothing here is committed without your go-ahead. Perfect. It remembers all of my hard rules that I set in Claude.md. Wonderful. So what it's going to do right now is going to go through the plan and then give us the code. And then once it does, we will be able to review the codes in the Batframe skeleton repo. Okay. Now notice we don't have a Claude.md file right here, but this is the thing that we're going to add next. So right now we can wait a little bit for it to add the extra files. So right now what it's doing is essentially it is just reading. It is reading the plan and making sure it can execute it well. So the produced code is... Why did this stop? I thought it's still thinking. Uh-oh. Did it break? Oh, no, it did not break. Okay. So I just need to keep going back and forth. Okay, so I guess it I don't know, it was kind of stuck. But then when I resized it, which is a common trick that I learned with experience, when you see something like that stuck in the terminal, you can just resize it, and usually that fixes the hanging and the display that is incorrect. Because whenever you resize, I guess it just re-triggers the listeners that actually like not redesign, but rather like fix the design of the code that you have it running. I could be wrong, but something from experience that we just witnessed together. Plan approved. PHP's class binding order within a single file, since it determines whether commands can sit above the engine. Let's see if that works. Interesting, that works. Okay. Let me test the exact layout I'm planning with statements preceding the class declarations, since that's what affects PHP's delayed early binding. Use runtime exception as R. Declare strict types. If PHP SAPI does not equal CLI, exit 1. I don't like that because it doesn't tell me that we don't have CLI installed. But let's see. Okay, looks like everything is good. Task tool needs loading, not worth the round trip for a 4-step job. Running the file. I don't know what I was reaching for here. It doesn't tell me. So what it's trying to do here is it's trying to add the commands that the user can edit themselves, like adding new commands. Put it at the top so you don't have like to scroll through the file. And then at the bottom is going to be the engine behind the CLI tool itself. Which makes things like super simple. Again, we are not mirroring Laravel here. We're not introducing a replacement for Laravel. Well, what we're trying to do right here is introduce All we're trying to do here is introduce a micro framework for two reasons. One, to just practice our AI and our prompting capabilities and skills, because prompting and prompt engineering is an actual skill and it's going to become really important soon. And then two, to actually provide value for people like myself that want to run like super simple, small stuff, small applications that do not need the powerhouse of Laravel. Like, for example, you just want to whip up an API that does something simple and just returns a response. Like, Laravel is a way overkill for this simple thing. So this is why we're running this thing. Now, we are gonna let this thing a lift a mangle ternary, so it's gonna like take care of everything itself. We can look at the new files that it's adding right here. So we do get the PHP batbelt. It is a humongous file, 1,000 lines. Kilton straight. Now the error path and argument binding, which is where the engine earns its keep. So yeah, here we have humongous doc blocks, but I think that's okay. So it's still working here, but we can like start actually reading what it's doing. It's adding a bunch of files here. App, product routes. Yeah, so it did that because it ran like the make routes. I hope it deletes it afterwards. Hopefully it deletes them because like it's running some tests, like the AI is running tests. Every round returns 200, include the scaffolded product and pricing. The port guard test lost its working directory. Rerunning it and clear cache. Okay. So let's go back to this. Let's let it cook. And then if it doesn't delete these files, we can delete them ourselves. So if PHP SAPI doesn't equal CLI, HTTP response code 403, batbelt is a command line to it. Oh, so here it's checking if we're running it from the CLI or not. Okay. I see. It's like a safeguard against like running it directly from the web. Cool. I like that. We didn't tell it about that, but I like that. So then it's doing autoloading. It's requiring autoload. If not, is file autoload. Dependencies are missing. Run composer install first. Great. So this is what I love, that it tells you what's wrong and then it tells you how to fix it. This is great. This is actually wonderful. Every public method here is a command. Parameters become arguments. One without a default is positional. In declared order, one with a default becomes an optional flag. Great. So public function serve, host is localhost, and then port is 1939. The year Batman first appeared. I hope Warner Bros. Don't or whomever owns the rights to Batman don't sue me because I'm using their Batman figure. Doc root, there is no public directory to serve, so it's doing some checks. This port is taken. Port %d is already in use. Try tac port %d instead. Port +1. Okay. This paint, so we're painting, so we can now do stuff with colors, something that I did not tell it about at all, but it looks like I figured it out greatly. PHP binary invokes the same interpreter, which is what keeps the tool dependency free. No router script is needed. The built-in server already falls back up the tree. So we can just like run the PHP binary. Great stuff, awesome stuff. Server, it just runs the serve. And then you have routes. And then we have make route. make page, clear cache, and that's it. So all of this is just the code for the thing to work, actually. Okay. We can add like a big banner here of stuff. So all 6 commands work. Routes prints the real table. I'm not going to trust it at all. Let's do our own testing now. So I'm going to go to Batframe skeleton. And then I'm going to do PHP batbelt and then route. Unknown command route. Did you mean routes? Cool. That's wonderful. PHP batbelt for the full list. Awesome. Usage, PHP batbelt command, arguments, flags, clear cache, make page, make route, routes. Okay. We're going to get a bunch of routes here. Wonderful stuff. Let's actually create a route. So also notice that it did delete the test files that I created, which is the product routes. Absolutely wonderful. I love AI. You like love it or hate it. You gotta be wait, so page routes. Oh wait, no. So okay. So page routes is actually the slash here. Okay, cool. And then we have user routes. We should probably like remove all of these, honestly. Like we should delete all of these. So delete the user routes. That thing is unnecessary. And then we have page routes right here, which exists here. So I'm just going to leave this in by default because I do want people to understand that this is how you should add routes as traits. But then again, you could just add like functions here directly. So public function, and then we're going to say like get user. And we're just not going to do anything here. Or I could just return like response text or HTML hello world. Just nothing fancy over there at all. Okay. So then I'm going to do that. And then we're going to get slash user, which gets by get user. Now this could be better by including that the index handler is coming from the page routes. And then here is coming from the app itself. But I'm not going to make it complicated yet because I believe this is going to be its own function. Okay. So let's do batbelt again. And let's see what we get. We have serve, which we should try right now. Serve. So we're running localhost on 1939. It works. Massive stuff, like absolutely massive stuff. Wonderful. And then I could just control C in order to close that. Beautiful. So something that I actually wanted to test. Whenever I do a control C, is it going to work? I refresh. No, it's not working. Wonderful. So it actually stopped the server. Next, I'm going to do port equals 2000 or 200, whatever. I'm going to do that, and it's working pretty well. It's actually starting the server on port 200. So it is accepting flags. Absolutely just wonderful stuff. Absolutely awesome. PHP belt. So we do have clear cache, make page. So make page and make route were already confirmed by the AI itself, and we saw it in action. So I'm not going to approve that anymore. Overall, I think this has been just absolutely wonderful. I think it's working. Everything is working as expected. Before we do that, actually, I will test. We are just going to add like a bunch of things here, like a banner, so that we know that all of the functions are going to live here. So here we have the final class. So here it says your commands. Wonderful. So I'm going to do public function print and then just print. But instead of print, because it already exists, I don't want any weird. So I'm just going to call it say. And then I'm going to echo hello world. Maybe I should not echo. So I could just do this line hello world. And then I'm just going to return like 0. Okay. And then, oh, I don't need to do that. I could do PHP batbelt. Now it should add the command say, which is great. So what we could do is just copy the doc block. We don't have any params right here. And then it's going to say, just say hello world. So we could run batbelt again and then just say hello world. Awesome. PHP batbelt say, and it's going to give me hello world. This is absolutely wonderful stuff. Everything is working as expected, and it is insane. It is insane. AI is really insane. Push that. Notice that I did some changes myself. Do not override them. I have tested everything in the current state, and I'm super happy with the results. Push, tag, and release Batframe skeleton. So new users can, users that clone the project should get the CLI tool right away. Okay. Make it do that. It also just make sure it added PHP batbelt serve. Wonderful. So it did redirect the serve command. And then the README, it included batbelt into the README of the skeleton command. Let me see your changes. So it doesn't trust me right now, and it wants to check my changes. Okay. So now even the AI just doesn't trust you, and it needs to check your changes so it knows what's going out. It's like he's the boss and you're the one, like you're the junior and he's the senior, you know? There will come a day. There will come a day for sure. Bro, my changes ain't that deep. Leftover scratch. Ship it all exactly as is, bro. Minor dump for a new feature. Patch bump understates it. Call the skeleton and call the skeleton's table and commit to its layout going forward. I think version 1.0 is great. So we're gonna tag the skeleton as 1.0.0, which is absolutely and utterly wonderful. So this video is getting a little bit long, I know, but I hope you're having as much fun as I am watching me like work with that stuff. And then the only thing that's left for us to do is to just add a Claude MD file for Batframe skeleton. So that way we could essentially just have bat skeleton instructions into the bat skeleton or Batframe skeleton application itself. So that way when people like composer use the project, they already have claude.md instructions for the application itself and know how to deal with the application. Okay. Let me first confirm whether you also touched the batbelt itself, since untracked and I can't diff it. Bro. It's making sure that I didn't touch its code. What's happening? I understand that it might be trying to do that just to make sure nothing broke, and we're not, since we're shipping right now, which is like the most important part. It doesn't want to ship anything broken, but bro, I am the senior here. I am your boss. You are not my boss. You don't check what I do. I check what you do. You know what I'm saying? But it looks like it doesn't know what I'm saying. Oh well. Pushed and tagged, creating the GitHub release. Okay, it's taking a little bit long to just push a GitHub release, but let's see. Now projects or new projects now come with batbelt, a command line tool at the project root. It is a single file, pure PHP, no dependencies. Exactly how we wanted it. Exactly fitting for the microframework. By the way, I do not recommend that you always do things purely yourself, because imagine like this, like our own custom solution versus something as robust as using Symfony's like argument parser package, which I cannot remember the name of right now, honestly. But anyway, like Symfony has been around for years and years. Probably the composer package, not the composer, probably the Cloud Code model is tested or is learning from open source packages like these. So do not do things yourself until you actually need to. But again, there's also like a balance between things. So you don't want to get everything, just collect packages left and right. And you don't want to do that because of two things. One, your dependency list is going to grow super large, and then one of these dependencies break and part of your application breaks. Two, security reasons. If you remember, like actually super recently, we're talking like a month ago, NPM got hacked by getting a faulty or a malicious package released to it, and then a bunch of users that were using the previous like package just updated to the new infected package, and it was a mess. So yeah, don't keep depending on outside sources or outside not trustworthy sources, I would say, because if you go by the logic that you should not use anything from the outside, then you should never use frameworks, and you should just create everything from scratch yourself, which is not a speedy thing to do. It might look cool, but it's not gonna get you like very good progress in terms of productivity. Okay, so it looks like we have two things worth having on record. No action needed unless you want it. The slash users 404 is now real and published version 1.0.0. A fresh project's welcome page still links to the git slash users and git slash users 1. I confirm both 404. I set the message and release notes in favor of the inline git user, so the notes match what's in the box. Okay, so right now in the view right here, it's still linking these, which we don't want. So we can just remove that. And then honestly, what we could do is PHP batbelt serve. Oh, because I'm in projects. Let's go to Batframe skeleton. Then we're gonna run the same thing. It's gonna run it on port. Start by editing source routes, page routes, or add a new trait under source routes and use it in source app.php. It works. Wonderful. This is cool. This is cool. All right, so we're gonna do a bunch of stuff in the welcome page later. But for now, we are going to do the final thing that I said we'll do. I fixed home.play.php, push it as a minor patch. So we're gonna see now what it's going to do. It should push it to be like 1.0.1. And the final thing that we're gonna do is actually we're gonna wait for it to finish, like right here. And we're gonna pull the new package. So what I'm gonna do is while we wait, I'm gonna remove the sandbox entirely. So Batframe sandbox. Make sure we're removing the right thing, not skeleton, not Batframe, just the sandbox. Great. And then I'll check what you changed, then push it as 101. Oh man. Okay, let's wait for it to push it. Then we're gonna pull, we're gonna create a new project using the Batframe skeleton. Renders clean, no the links, and the slash about still works. Why does it work? Pages about. Wait, what's the difference between pages and views? What the heck? Pages. Auto-routed static pages. Oh, okay. I actually did not know that. It's my own framework and I did not know that. So blade templates, auto-routed static pages. Okay. So here, this is why it works, because it says about.blade.php. I assume that just going to /blade, because the request path match the file name. Drop more blade or HTML files in pages to add static pages. Cool. This is actually a cool feature. I don't know if like you don't need a route for it, so and it's like you can just add an index page right here, and everything is going to be taken care of for you without going here. The question is, does this actually get shown in PHP batbelt routes? It doesn't. So this is something that we need to fix as well. Okay. I confirmed it against a create project. Oh. One loose end. Since you asked only for the homepage, still has user routes as the file name comment. Just a pointer to a file that no longer ships. So a reader might go looking for it. These comments are actually pretty cool. I like that. We have two problems that we want to fix. Well, while we're here, actually, since you're already watching the video, this is not worth to be splitting into its own video because it's the same context. So we're going to be fixing like two problems right here. The readme problem that you just surfaced. Two, the PHP batbelt routes command does not show statically routed files. And three, we need to add a claw.md file to Batframe skeleton so that users that clone or get or create a new project using Batframe should already have a Claude MD file to make it easier to vibe code features. Okay. So we're going to wait for it to fix all these three problems. I did say we have two problems, but then I added three things. Yeah, it said here three things. So it's okay. Like these small problem, like mistakes, two problems, and then three things. It's just not gonna confuse the AI or anything. Claude is, or at least Opus 4.8 is very smart. So let's see what it's gonna do right now. So first thing, it's gonna check for installed version. I'll read the installed vendor copy since that's what users usually run. 070 is installed and identical to your local repo apart from line endings. Okay, now page resolution rule, which is what routes needs to mirror exactly. So it's reading from Batframe how static pages get routed. Okay, so now it is checking whether the page fallback is verb specific. Now I have what I need, and two behaviors was verifying empirically before I encode them in UI. Pages are fallback after the 405 check, and page response never looks at the verb. Also, str replace means nested pages work. Let me confirm all three. So what it does is that, for example, you want to go like one page deeper. So here about is in like /about, but you could do like folder called about and then a file called us.blade. So the URL would read /about/us. So this is what nesting folders mean. Which is a cool feature, honestly. This kind of mirrors how Next.js works, how you could like set up the routes by the folder structure. But having it alongside views might be a little bit confusing if you don't read the README. I don't know. I'm hesitant to like drop that feature entirely. I don't think I should drop it. I think it's going to be useful. Yeah, it's going to be useful. I'm pretty sure. People just gotta read the README, you know. And then when we add the Claude MD file, they don't even need to read the README. Claude is gonna do it for them. Table looks right. Now the critical check, does it match reality? Verifying every claim against the live server, including Blade beats HTML precedence. Blade beats HTML precedent. That's actually cool. The Blade should beat HTML for sure. This is why you gotta love working with AI, because it saves you like an insane amount of time. I want you to imagine that we were doing these things by hand. There are many things that we would not have thought of. For example, Blade beats HTML precedence. We would not have thought about this. I wouldn't. Maybe you would. You're smarter than me, but I wouldn't. So this is why I'd rather like walk the AI through the architecture, but then let it write the code, because it does fill in the gaps for me. Every claim in the table matches reality. Blade beats HTML. Once the page is resolved, the shadowed/user really does hit the route, and post/about really is 200, so any is honest. I don't know if you want that. I don't think static pages should match anything except get. So a post to a static page should not work, because it should be a route, essentially. I guess so. It doesn't make sense that it answers to any verb. So now the cloud.md, this ships into every new project. So I'm writing it against the verified 070 API rather than from memory of the framework's own docs. That's correct. And this is actually a smart choice. And we can keep updating it every time we update the 070 API. Or sorry, like update the Batframe API. So that way the Batframe skeleton always stays up to date with like its own Claude MD should always stay up to date with Batframe. But the thing is, though, what if we just link to the like vendor and then Michael Yusri and then Claude.md in the source? Oh wait, it's not being sent at all. Okay. It's not being packaged. Okay. I made a lot of factual claims. Instead of shipping docs that might lie. Okay. So we might try to do is that Claude.md now, because it lives in the main folder right here, it's not being served because it's not being referenced from here. So my idea would be we could include like Claude.md, like the actual Claude.md in Batframe into the source, so that way it gets mapped, or like it gets downloaded from like whenever you do the Composer new project. And then we could make the Claude.md like main file here, read from the Claude.md that is in the source that is packaged. And then we can point the main Claude.md in the Batframe skeleton into the Claude.md that is being mapped inside the package itself, inside Batframe skeleton. So that way there's only one place or one source of truth, which is Batframe's Claude.md. Okay, so I think this is going to be a smarter choice overall. Because that way you want to have the same Claude.md on both, essentially. So there's no reason to keep writing the same thing into both. And then maybe in Batframe skeleton, it could read and then only add a part about batbelt. So that way, batbelt, because it's only in Batframe skeleton, it could only live in like the Claude.md instructions here. But then again, it's linking to the main instructions from Batframe skeleton. Let's actually code that in. So what we need, I want a quick refactor into how, a quick refactor of how Claude.md is working in this repo or in these repos. First of all, both repos, Batframe and Batframe skeleton, should have the same Claude.md file, because Batframe skeleton's Claude.md is essentially how to interact with the framework, which is exactly what the Claude.md file in the Batframe repo is trying to do anyway. So what I suggest is we want to ship a Claude.md file with the framework itself. Example folder would be in source, and then like what would we call it, like AI, and then Claude.md, AI Claude.md, which doesn't exist yet, by the way, and make the main frameworks, or like the main folders, or the main Batframe's framework Claude.md, and then let's link to it. Claude.md, point to this claude.md file in the source folder. Then we can make the claude.md file that lives in the Batframe skeleton repo point to the same claude.md file that exists in the source folder of the framework itself. So essentially, claude.md becomes a part of the framework's code instead of being a standalone file in every single repo without any connection. That way, the only difference would be that in Batframe skeletons, claude.md, the main one, it should include the part about batbelt because Batframe backend, the framework code or the source of the framework, doesn't know about batbelt, and correctly so. What do you think of this plan? Let's see if Claude agrees with this. So here we are gusting. We have been gusting for 26 seconds, 30 seconds. It's thinking more. So I guess it's trying to figure out if what I said makes any sense, it actually makes things better or not. So let's see what Claude is going to tell us. Maybe it tells me my logic is incorrect because it breaks how Claude works or something. But let's see why it works. Good idea in the main, and the versioning win is the real prize. Docs that ship with the framework can drift from the code the user actually installed. But the whole plan rests on one assumption I don't want to guess at. And there is one part of it I'd push back on. Okay. Let me check the load-bearing assumption first. Okay, so it's going to claudemd.md from Claude code itself. So it's checking what claudemd is doing, actually, in order to verify its claim, which is great. I love that. I love that it fact checks itself first before it gives me like some bullshit, which is why, at least one of the main reasons why I love Opus 4.8. I don't know if other models do that, like Sonnet. It's been so long since I used Sonnet. So I love what 4.8 is doing. Claude Code Guide, verify Claude MD import semantics. So it's checking how it could import other files, I assume. Okay, it says done.